There's a reason why some men walk into a room and instantly command attention, not just from other men, but from women too. These aren't the loudest guys, they're not always the richest, but they carry something deeper, something primal. Unshakable self-belief is the foundation of masculine power. It's not about arrogance or pretending to be confident. It's about having a deep-rooted sense of who you are, even when the world tries to tell you otherwise. Most men are constantly chasing validation. They're fishing for compliments, trying to impress women with money, looks, or social status. But the man that women truly fall for, the one who leaves a lasting impression, doesn't need any of that. His value doesn't rise or fall based on what someone else thinks of him. It's internal. It's anchored. Women are drawn to this type of man because he represents emotional stability in a world of noise. He's not desperate to prove himself. He's not shaken by rejection. He's not seeking approval, especially not from women, and that's precisely what makes him irresistible. There's an unspoken power in a man who can look at a beautiful woman and not be fazed by her beauty. He doesn't pedestalize her. He doesn't crumble under pressure. He's composed, grounded, and fully aware of what he brings to the table. This kind of man walks into a room and owns his space without saying a word. He doesn't need to be loud or flashy. His presence alone speaks volumes. He's the type of man who can lose everything and still not lose himself. And that kind of inner strength is something women instinctively admire. It makes them feel safe. It makes them feel like they're in the presence of a man who can handle life, handle chaos, and most importantly, handle himself. Self-belief also creates boundaries. A man who knows his worth doesn't allow disrespect, doesn't beg for attention, and doesn't stay where he isn't valued. He doesn't settle for crumbs because he knows he deserves the full meal. And when a woman sees that kind of standard in a man, she either rises to meet it, or she gets left behind. This kind of energy is rare, and women know it. That's why it stands out. That's why it's unforgettable. Emotional control is what separates boys from men. It's not about suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't care. It's about mastering your responses, maintaining composure when things don't go your way, and never allowing anyone to pull you out of character. In today's world, where people are constantly reacting, losing their temper, and acting impulsively, the man who can stay calm under pressure instantly stands out. He becomes the rock that everyone leans on. He becomes the stable presence that women naturally gravitate toward. When a man has emotional control, he doesn't get rattled by her moods. He doesn't lash out when she tests him or becomes emotional. He understands that emotions come and go like waves, and instead of being tossed around by them, he remains the anchor. This is incredibly attractive to women on a deep psychological level. Why? Because emotional control signals strength, maturity, and dominance, not in a controlling way, but in a centered and grounded way. It tells her, "I've got this. You're safe with me." Most men are easily manipulated because they don't have control over their emotions. They get jealous, insecure, reactive, or overly eager. And once a woman sees that she can easily pull strings and provoke a man, she loses respect for him fast. But when she tests a man and he doesn't flinch, doesn't argue, and doesn't fall into emotional traps, she feels something rare, admiration. She starts to trust him, not because he says the right things, but because he shows consistency. His actions, his tone, and his presence remain steady. Emotional control also allows a man to choose his battles wisely. He doesn't argue over nonsense. He doesn't engage in drama. He observes, he assesses, and he speaks when it truly matters. This restraint is powerful. It shows he's not ruled by ego or insecurity, and this control doesn't just serve him in relationships. It shows up in his business, his goals, and every area of his life. It makes him a leader. It makes him dependable, and most importantly, it makes him deeply respected by both men and women alike. Women are emotional by nature, and they're drawn to men who can handle that without becoming emotional themselves. When she's overwhelmed, she doesn't want a man who spirals with her. She wants a man who steadies her, a man who can lead her out of emotional chaos with calmness, clarity, and direction. That's the man she clings to. That's the man she trusts in a world full of uncertainty. Purpose over pleasure is one of the most powerful traits a man can embody, and yet it's one of the rarest. In a society that encourages instant gratification, most men are chasing quick highs. Women, validation, likes, status. They're addicted to distractions. But the man who has a clear purpose, a mission that drives him, becomes a different breed. He's not chasing women because he's too busy chasing his goals. And ironically, that's exactly why women chase him. He's not trying to be liked, he's trying to build, and that focus makes him magnetic. A man on his purpose has a fire in his eyes that can't be faked. He wakes up with intention. He doesn't scroll mindlessly, chase meaningless hookups, or waste his time trying to impress people who don't matter. His time is valuable. His energy is directed. And because of that, women can sense his power the moment he walks into a room. He's not looking around wondering who's watching him. He's focused on his next move, his next level, his next win. And that kind of tunnel vision is rare in a world full of distraction seekers. When a man puts purpose before pleasure, he automatically becomes a leader. He's not waiting for life to happen. He's making it happen. And women are biologically wired to be drawn to leaders, to men who are going somewhere, doing something, creating impact. A man on a mission is like a moving train. People either get on board or get left behind. He doesn't slow down to beg for attention. He doesn't compromise his vision to make someone comfortable. And because of that, the right kind of woman will want to follow his lead, not challenge it. This doesn't mean he's cold or emotionless. It means he knows what matters most. He understands that fleeting pleasures, sex, compliments, temporary attention, will never bring lasting fulfillment, but building something meaningful will. And when a man is locked in on his path, he becomes a source of inspiration. He commands respect without ever needing to raise his voice. He doesn't beg for love. He attracts it by being immersed in something greater than himself. Women can tell the difference between a man who makes them the center of his life and a man who's building a life they want to be part of. The former gets used and discarded. The latter gets desired and pursued. A man who puts purpose over pleasure doesn't ignore women. He simply doesn't revolve around them. His world is bigger than that. He knows that real satisfaction comes from progress, discipline, and achieving what he set out to do. That kind of energy is intoxicating, and it leaves a lasting impression long after the conversation ends. Scarcity energy is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful psychological triggers in attraction. Most men give their time, energy, and presence too freely. They respond instantly, make themselves constantly available, and in doing so, they unintentionally signal that their attention has little value. But the man who carries himself with scarcity energy, the one who doesn't offer himself to everyone, is the man who instantly becomes more desirable. Women instinctively value what's rare, and when a man moves with intention and restraint, he becomes a mystery worth chasing. This doesn't mean playing games or acting distant for the sake of manipulation. It means genuinely having standards about who gets access to you. A man with scarcity energy understands that his presence is a gift, not a guarantee. He doesn't waste time on people who don't respect it. He's not eager to please. He's careful about where he invests his attention. That kind of restraint builds curiosity. Women begin to wonder why he isn't like the others. Why isn't he texting non-stop? Why doesn't he react the moment she posts something? Why isn't he jumping at the chance to spend time with her? The answer is simple. He has options, priorities, and a life that doesn't revolve around anyone else's validation. This kind of man doesn't need to say he's high value. His energy does, because he's selective. He's not in a rush to open up, and he's not easily impressed. And that changes the dynamic completely. Women are used to being pursued, complimented, and put on pedestals. But when they encounter a man who isn't immediately trying to win them over, it throws them off. In the best way, they feel the difference, they feel the challenge, and more importantly, they start to feel the desire to earn his attention, rather than just receiving it. Scarcity energy also reflects self-respect. A man who values himself doesn't have to beg, chase, or convince. He knows that the right woman will recognize his worth without him needing to advertise it. And if she doesn't, he simply moves on, without drama, without noise. That quiet confidence is louder than any speech. It says, "I'm good with or without you." And that mindset is lethal in the world of attraction. This type of man doesn't get caught up in proving himself. He lets distance do the talking. If someone disrespects his time, he withdraws it. If someone takes him for granted, he fades out, not out of spite, but out of principle. He doesn't engage in emotional back and forths or chase validation. His silence speaks volumes because it shows that his presence is not something to be taken lightly. And when a woman realizes she's not the center of his world, she suddenly wants to be part of it even more. Women crave a man who isn't trying to win everyone. They want the man who moves like he already knows he's the prize. Scarcity isn't about being absent. It's about being exclusive. Not everyone gets access, not everyone gets replies, and not everyone gets time. And the moment a woman senses that, she starts seeing you not just as a man, but as the man. Masculine polarity is a concept that goes deeper than looks, style, or surface-level confidence. It's about embodying a presence that is rooted, directional, and powerful without needing to dominate or control. Masculine energy is stillness in chaos, certainty in confusion, leadership without words. In contrast, feminine energy is movement, emotion, and flow. When a man steps fully into his masculine polarity, it naturally activates the feminine in a woman. That dynamic, the push and pull of masculine and feminine energies, is what creates the magnetic charge between two people. And yet, so many modern men have lost touch with it. A man in his masculine doesn't try to be like her. He's not trying to match her mood swings, mirror her emotions, or play her emotional games. He doesn't become soft just to make her feel comfortable, and he doesn't trade his backbone for her approval. Instead, he stands firm in who he is. He listens, but he doesn't bend every time she pushes. He cares, but he doesn't lose himself in the process. His energy is consistent, structured, and calm. And in a world that constantly encourages men to tone it down, to be more agreeable, more in touch with their feelings, this man becomes a rare force. He doesn't reject emotion, but he doesn't get consumed by it either. Masculine polarity is not about being aggressive or cold. It's about providing direction. A man in this state doesn't wait for others to make the first move. He leads, he decides, he takes initiative. He creates plans and follows through. Women don't want to always be the one steering the ship. They want a man who knows where he's going and invites her along for the ride. When he leads, she can finally relax into her natural feminine energy. That's when she becomes soft, receptive, and emotionally expressive, because she trusts the container he provides. Most men don't realize how deeply women crave that leadership. Not controlling leadership, but confident direction. When a man says, "We're going here at this time, wear this, I've got everything handled," something shifts in her. She feels safe. She feels desired. And most importantly, she feels like she can surrender, which is something feminine energy naturally wants to do, but only in the presence of strong masculine energy. If a man is unsure, indecisive, or always asking her to take the lead, it kills the polarity. It places her in the masculine role, and over time she loses attraction without even understanding why. Polarity is not just about action, it's about energy. It's the way a man speaks, the way he holds eye contact, the way he takes up space without trying to shrink himself. It's the subtle dominance in how he moves, how he stands, how he doesn't fidget or seek approval with every word. A masculine man doesn't chase attention, he naturally attracts it by being grounded. His energy tells her, "You're safe here, I've got this." And that message doesn't need to be spoken. It's felt. Women may say they want a man who's sensitive, soft, and endlessly agreeable, but their biology often tells a different story. They fall for the man who gives them structure, who challenges them, who holds them accountable with love and strength. The man who doesn't try to be their best friend, but their protector, provider, and partner in direction. And the truth is, when a man fully embraces his masculine polarity, he doesn't have to try to be attractive. He becomes the polarity she's been waiting to find. Mystery and depth are two of the most underrated yet compelling qualities a man can possess. In a world where everyone is constantly oversharing, posting every thought, every meal, every emotion, true mystery is rare, and because it's rare, it's powerful. When a man doesn't immediately reveal everything about himself, when he moves with quiet confidence instead of loud declarations, he creates an aura that women can't help but be drawn to. He becomes intriguing, not just interesting. And that difference is everything. Most men make the mistake of laying all their cards on the table right away. They talk too much, reveal too soon, and chase too hard. But the man who holds back, who speaks when it matters and reveals himself slowly, that man captivates. Women start to lean in. They start to wonder, who is he really? What is he thinking? What drives him? What is he hiding behind those calm eyes and composed demeanor? And that curiosity keeps her coming back, wanting to know more, wanting to go deeper. A man with depth isn't trying to be mysterious. He just is, because he's not concerned with impressing anyone. He has layers, thoughts he doesn't broadcast, pain he's processed, and dreams he doesn't feel the need to constantly talk about. He doesn't need to explain his value. He shows it through action, consistency, and restraint. And the more she gets to know him, the more she realizes there's always more to learn. He's not a shallow pool, he's the ocean. And just when she thinks she's figured him out, he reveals another layer. Through his words, his behavior, or his silence. Mystery doesn't mean being cold or closed off. It means being deliberate. He chooses when to speak and when to listen. He chooses what to reveal and what to hold back. He doesn't seek validation through storytelling or emotional dumping. He's aware that not everyone deserves access to his inner world, and that selectiveness makes every piece he does share feel more valuable, more intimate, more real. He understands that depth isn't just about having a dark past or poetic thoughts. It's about having substance, and substance is what makes a man unforgettable. This kind of man doesn't flood her with compliments or over-communicate in the early stages. He gives just enough to spark interest, but not enough to kill the curiosity. And in that space between what she knows and what she wants to know, desire grows. She starts investing emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually, because discovering him feels like a journey, not a transaction. He's not putting on a performance. He's just living his truth quietly, and she's drawn to the authenticity beneath his calm surface. Women are emotional creatures, and their attraction is rooted in how a man makes them feel asterisk. A mysterious man makes them feel intrigued, challenged, and alive. He gives them space to wonder, to fantasize, to engage their imagination, and that emotional engagement is what leads to deep attachment. She's not just falling for what he says. She's falling for the space he creates, the vibe he gives off, the unknown that constantly invites her to explore further, and that feeling stays with her long after he's gone. So when you combine all of these elements, unshakable self, belief, emotional control, purpose over pleasure, scarcity energy, masculine polarity, and that deep sense of mystery, you create a man who doesn't need to chase women, because women naturally feel drawn to him. Not because of what he says, not because of what he has, but because of who he is. He becomes the rare experience, the exception to the rule, the man who lingers in her mind long after he's left the room. And that's not game, that's power, real, authentic, masculine power.